Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Morden in South London to Tooting. This ride takes about 15 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes over 20 minutes and requires a change of bus and tube, so you can certainly save time by cycling this route. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute as well, you can find a link in the description below the video. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on London Road near Morden Tube Station, and we're going to use this small pavement cycle track to head towards Morden Hall Park. At first the track looks like a cycle lane, but it quickly gives up and just turns into a shared pavement. I really think this first bit of the route could do with a bit of a reworking. The crossing, the shared pavement and also this narrow gate into the park are all pretty substandard, and it's a shame because the path in the park, which has recently been redone, is excellent. The surface here is really quite smooth and I like the sandy colour, which doesn't interfere with the kind of wild nature of the park. The history of the land that is now the park is quite interesting. It was once owned by Westminster Abbey and was a centre of industry of sorts. The nearby river Wandle powered a watermill which was used to ground tobacco into snuff. Those mills have actually now been preserved and you can pay them a visit. Make sure you look both ways as you cross the tram tracks here. This railway used to be the West Croydon to Wimbledon mainline railway, and it was converted into part of the tram in 1997. We now find ourselves on this really fantastically surfaced shared path, which was recently surfaced by Merton Council. As you can see, this isn't just of use to people cycling, it's great for walking, mobility scooters, all sorts. What I really like about it is that it's really wide and that the tarmac is incredibly smooth. I think when you are having a shared path like this and you're mixing with pedestrians, you do need it to be as wide as this, really to give everyone a comfortable experience. There is a section here where you just need to watch out as we are passing through a car park. It looks pretty quiet now, but on a sunny day a lot of people come here to go for a walk or whatever, and unfortunately many of them drive, so you just have to watch out for car movements in that park. But then you are quickly back onto a nicely surfaced path again. Obviously remember that when you're cycling on a shared path you just need to watch out for pedestrians, give plenty of space and not ride too quickly. Do be aware of the road here, by the way. There's very little traffic on it as far as I can tell, but you still don't want to end up underneath any of it. You might have noticed the river Wandle peeking through the trees to our right, by the way. That actually flows into the Thames at Wandsworth, hence the name Wandsworth Wandle. There is a reasonably decent Wandle trail running next to it for quite a lot of the way, but unfortunately it doesn't really go all the way to Wandsworth, avoiding the main roads, which would be a really useful link if it did. We're now going to break from the Wandle trail and we're going to head down the shared pavement along this busy road. What really stands out here is the road's bizarre name. It's Morden Way. Morden is apparently the place where King Cynewulf of Wessex is said to have died in the year 786, according to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Nobody really knows where Morden is, but it is sometimes considered to be Merton, which is the London borough we're in, because of the similarity of names and maybe some other evidence that's a bit more shaky. So I guess someone thought it might be nice to call the road that, which is fair enough. It also has a perfectly serviceable pavement cycle track alongside it, although it does unfortunately lead to one of these junctions where you have to negotiate 5 separate token crossings to get from the corner we started in to the corner we need to go to. If you're confused as to why they would build the crossings like that, it's to prioritise cars moving through the junctions. So Basically, it limits the crossing times pedestrians have in order to speed up the flow of traffic. It doesn't really prioritise cycling or walking as a mode, but it does get us through the junction and onto Fortescue Road. This street is really quiet, and I was going to say that it was because it was a natural low traffic neighbourhood because of the layout of the streets, but that is actually not true. It's not a natural low traffic neighbourhood. It is actually just a regular low traffic neighbourhood that is very, very old. That's right, so Merton Council back in the day actually put some bollards in the streets, which I'll point out a bit further up. And along with a fire gate intervention in an estate that will also pass through, it made this a no-through route for cars across a really wide area. By the way, if you need a map of this route, you can always find a link to it in the description below the video, and it's a GPX file, so it'll work on whatever app or device you use. It is a common format. Down there you can also find a link to the channel's Patreon. If you like what we're doing here, showing off London's infrastructure and how to get around it, then you could always consider contributing. Thanks very much to those of you who already do so. As promised, here are those bollards, and you can see it really is just like a normal modern low traffic neighbourhood with a series of bollards placed at a strategic location, and as a result this whole area is closed off to through motor traffic, and it's really quiet and pleasant to cycle down. There's another piece of very subtle cycle infrastructure here if you know where to look for it. Keep an eye out on our left coming up and you'll see a big green box with some bikes just visible through the grille here. That is a cycle hanger for storing bikes for people who live on the street. I've mentioned cycle hangers in my videos before, but most of them have got a kind of curved top. This one though, it looks a little bit different. Many different companies make them, and did you know there's actually a shortage of them at the moment because so many councils are installing them, so a lot more different manufacturers are being trialled by different councils, which is why you might start to see other designs around. This is the fire gate I was talking about. This is what road closures used to look like. We don't use this design anymore. They were done like that, so if an emergency vehicle needs to get through, they've got a special key and they can just open the gate, but for other vehicles it's closed. These days, if a filter needed to remain open to emergency services because they said that they need access or something like that, then it would probably be done as a camera enforced filter, or perhaps with a lockable bollard, and that would keep it open to cycle through without that horrible wiggly chicane that we had just to get through there. It was a little bit too narrow, and it would be lovely to see it redesigned. So we are now on Mitcham Road, and that is Tooting railway station just ahead there in the red brick. So I have technically got you to Tooting, although I'd say most people probably think of Tooting as Tooting Broadway, so if you want to accuse me of cheating, go ahead. But if it's good enough for National Rail, it is good enough for me, I'm afraid. Do let me know what you think of that video. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and if you would like to see more videos like it, hit subscribe. Thanks again to everyone who contributes to the Patreon. Anyone who'd like to do so as well, you can find a link in the description below the video. I'll see you guys again next time.